Good morning, good morning to all people, all races, all languages around the world, men, women, children, no matter what country, no matter what nation. Good morning to all people. May you have the most beautiful day. And for whatever goals that you have set forth for yourself on this New Year's Day, may those goals come to fruition as long as they benefit all of humanity. Um, Happy New Year. And with the new year, most people, throughout the night made resolutions. I want to say thank you to, beautiful women out there as well as the good brothers out there who, sent me invitations to, come and be a part of their New Year celebration. So I want to express, the reason and what I had said to those, invitations, that I was grateful for those invitations, but my purpose was to, I had sent out messages, just, a few people, and I had said, if someone needed someone that, to talk to, because we understand that through the holidays that it's a high stress level, a lot of depression, and, I just wanted to be there. And, a few people reached out to me, and, this morning I'm hoping that you're doing well. And one of the things that, not to mention, the conversations, but the majority of the people that I spoke to who were going through stress and, depression and uncertainty, they were in the mix of a crowded group of a social party, bringing in a new year, where you would think everything is happy and everyone is good. These people were on the phone with me, stepping outside of, their circles and talking to me, and, it was almost like night and day. And I'm glad that, each time that I hung up and each time that I had spoken, we spoke and we were able to get things out, that, things had cleared up. I want to say, get well, to a few people who were under the weather, and my very very good friend Patrice, who this it struck her, like night and day, from a moment. So I was able to experience that. So it let me know that things can happen at the snap of a hat, where you're feeling healthy, and then all of a sudden, boom, it takes effect. So get well soon, and my energy is there, and as well as for all others. Also, I want to point out, for the new year, I want to say, pride thing. I'm so happy to be a part, and I'm so happy to have had a friend, a good friend, childhood friend, Robert, we came from one community, but we branched out to separate communities and was able to impact those communities. And from what you're doing with the youth, what I'm saying, that they can talk to somebody who's been through and can identify what they've been through. You are more of a help to your community than people with degrees. So keep on doing what you're doing, and don't let anyone, knock you back. I want to say to people who worked, Adnan, you went into work and working overnight, throughout the holiday, to make sure that people were able to get their gas and things like that, and whatever supplies they needed, throughout the night. That's a first responder, as well as Blossom, who you went into work, and you work in a hospital, so for you that dedication is real, because there's so many people who did take the night off, who wanted to celebrate, but you see the big picture and what you need, and what these veterans, what they need during this time of year, because for the veterans it magnifies. So thank you for being, as well as all the responders, as well as law enforcement, all the people that keep us safe, ambulance driver, everyone. Also, I want to say, my sadness goes to the people of Boulder, Colorado. Another reason why I don't celebrate the holidays is because when we are in celebration, someone else's life is being turned upside down. Overnight, the people of Boulder, Colorado, it was snowing, but they had a fire tornado flow right through a city, devastating the city, 34,000 people. So, I'm not saying that the world should stop and take on, the burdens the way that I do and other people do. And, we really keeping an eye on the world to see that all these things are connected. Um, but what I am saying is, to pick and choose, but to take a little part in making change. So with that, let's say, Happy New Year. And I want to say that for, 2020, we have to consider how we think. And we have to realize, and I'm going to use the 34,000 people whose lives were turned upside down yesterday, how our thinking has been manipulated. In 2022, we have to take back our identities. We have to take back who we are, and not let mass media and everything else out there dictate how we think and how we act. So 2022 is a year of awakening, and I'm so happy to be waking up with you all. So now the 34,000 people whose lives were turned upside down in Boulder, Colorado, and tonight the temperature is going to drop to below zero, and there's no electricity out there. So if you have the chance during the day, and there's something that can be done, and you can reach out, do that. Now, you look at that, and most people would say, oh, that's really really bad. Now, this would make more sense and have a greater impact if I were to come on this morning and say, hey, three men burned up Boulder, Colorado, and they burned up all these buildings and went through and burned it. It'd be news all over, and it'd be on all day, brainwashed into you. And people would, the discussion would be, oh, did you hear about the three people that ran through Boulder, Colorado and burned it all up? But because the same impact is done with a fire tornado and a fire storm that took place, it doesn't have the intensity. So we have to stop running to what's bad, and they've been feeding us these bad things because it makes money, it generates money, and it divides us. So in 2022, I want to start out like this, and I want this for all of you and for the world. So Happy New Year. We've come a long way. Over the past few years, the world in which we live has exposed many, many flaws. One of them being what I just discussed, how magnitude of how we take things, from blatant disregard for human life. We've seen so much devastation when it comes to human lives, and the devaluing of human lives and taking human lives, for selfish reasons. The disastrous storms, the fires, and there's more extreme events to come this year. So we're going to really need one another, and we should not have to wait for it to reach our door to say, hey, Connecticut, let's get together because another Hurricane Sandy is coming. No, let's do something now, because what happened in Colorado, what happened in Kentucky, what happened in Hawaii, what's happening in California, what's happening in Canada, what's happening in the Philippines. So we're going to try to stay light with it, but 2022 and where we've come from is real. We see that all over this world that men and women are demanding change. That's one of the good things that has come from it, because people are starting to wake up, calling out these news corporations and calling them out over their lies and manipulation over populated populations and peoples. We've watched governments exposed for their deception. We watched law enforcement where there's corruption, failure to address supremacy within the legal systems, within law enforcement. We've seen gangs in law enforcement, and we've also experienced cold-blooded murders that go on within these ranks. But we've also watched justice come out of it. So, we have to say thank you for the good people who really are there to serve and protect, and not allow something to be covered up. So, for those people, like I said, I got law enforcement in my family, so I know that they stand for what's right, not just for one, but for all. So, thank you for those individuals that do. However, it is in these very events that opened up our eyes over these past few years, giving us no choice but to take note and to act. As a people, as a nation, and the world in whole, we now know that together we can change our world, because we watched that when George Floyd rang out all over the world. So we know how powerful we can be if we stand together, especially when it comes to climate change. If we can change our world, because we can shut down a corporation in a day just by standing together. In this new year, as a people, my hope is that this year we will become a year of discussion. That 2022 will become a year of discussion. Not only a discussion to make our world a better place, but we first must address love and commitments within our homes and within our families, which means the conversations, we have to change them. We have to really start to know and be secure with one another. Homes and male and female, we got to get out of the manipulative cycle. We're manipulating one another. Instead of trusting in love, instead of trusting in ourselves, we don't open up ourselves. We say, oh, well, I don't believe that. And we see it a lot. I have a friend one time who said to me, I don't believe that a man can be this way. And I'm like, wow. It's shocking. And then I've heard a man say, where he felt, that, all women are one way. And it blew my mind. And I said, until we open up ourselves, we can never come together. Well, it'll always be seek, control, and dominate. And we have to stop that, and we have to trust back and love. That's something that, was lost coming into the late 80s, into the 90s. That changed. We got to bring back what worked. We have to bring back not only for ourselves, but for our children, because we are indoctrinating them into a mentality that brought us to this point. And that comes with dealing with self first, and then dealing with the world. But we have to be true and honest with ourselves. So in this year, my hope, for the people, my hope is that this year will become a year of discussion. And with every decision that we make upon ourselves, or a significant other, or as a family, with every decision, we have to ask ourselves this question: will this decision better or benefit our family. With this decision, will our love for one another bring us closer? For with this decision, will it take so much time away from one another and from the family that eventually it will bring us apart? And we're noticing that more and more, that people are working overtime, they're taking on separate jobs, and then all of a sudden, bam, infidelity. And then bam, the person turns around and they say, I want a divorce. Why? Because you're not working on a relationship. You're not working on what you really came together for. Because we live in a society that says you need more, you need more, you need more to chase a carrot. But that carrot, once you finally reach that carrot, you turn back and your family's gone, your wife is gone, and you're looking back and you're like, what was it all for? Get back in 2022, let's get back into basics. So I hope that we realize that in 2022, that we can no longer ignore global warming, that individually we must hold ourselves responsible because of loss of life, property, and wildlife. And this is real. And lastly, let us show understanding to all to whom we may not agree, meaning religious circles, meaning people who have a different view of the world. Let us at least open up discussion so that we can find common ground to come to something that benefits all. And only then can we have real change, and real change can begin. And when we think about, global warming, 34,000 people, it was snowing in Boulder, Colorado, while this was happening. Wait a minute, snowing, while a firestorm was coming through. So, I mean, if this doesn't tell us that we can't ignore, we cannot no longer listen to these people, because those people in Boulder, Colorado found out that global warming is real. And, we have to take stances. They want us to be in fear with the pandemic. The pandemic is real, but throughout that fear, they're also blinding us to what's really going on. That record homes have been destroyed, meaning that the divorce rate, the historical divorce rate, is off the charts. Youth murders, adolescent murders, child murders are off the chart. We have broken every record, and this is what they're taking our minds off of. So we have to look within ourselves, and we have to start there, because when we start there, the world begins to change. When we start with us, when we start with I, then our family dynamic changes. So open up discussion in 2022 and be the best person that you can be. We all can't be superheroes, but we can all be responsible, and we can all take on responsibility. Because remember, this earth is like me offering you a $5 million mansion with tennis courts and sprawling hills and saunas and pools and a garage, a fleet of cars. $5 million, say $10 million, and put it on your own island. But you can't wash a car, you can't clean a dish, you can't trim the trees. In 5 years, what is that mansion? In 10 years, what is that mansion going to look like where you can't even wash a dish? And this is how we feel about the earth that we live on. So I want to leave this with religion. We say to ourselves, when we get to heaven, we have to say, well, I gave to this, and I prayed, and I did this, and I gave to charity, and I gave to this. And then when the Creator, the Most High, says, hey, but I built this home for you. Did you do anything to the home that I put you in? And most people, if you've taken this answer into the day, you know what that answer is. So let's take care of our house, because we only have one. And with that, everyone, have the most beautiful new year. Be safe, and may love and peace find you and bless you all from whatever and wherever your needs and wants are, that you are sufficed through the Most High. With that, everyone, men, women, children around the world, Happy New Year. And with that, peace and blessings.